This is a message I need you to hear. If you haven't already guessed what this video is about, well, I want you to understand why I'm vegan, and by the end of this video, I want to understand what is stopping you from being vegan. To start off, let's just unpack exactly what being a vegan is. A vegan is someone who avoids exploitation and cruelty to animals. It's as simple as that. Someone who doesn't want to cause harm to animals. You could replace the word vegan with kind to animals. So saying you'll never go vegan is the same as saying you'll never be against animal exploitation. Of course, we live in a society where exploiting animals is the norm. We are surrounded by industries that have their own interests at heart, not the interests of others. All the marketing and TV commercials glorify the farming process and the humane and ethical treatment of animals, and we are led to believe it. And only until you really question it and see the truth behind the lies does it become such an obvious thing to be against the exploitation of animals. We generally grow up to love animals. Many have had or still have pets or companion animals, and you probably agree that it would be absolutely crazy to kill and eat your pet animal, right? But morally, what difference does a dog or a cat have compared to a pig or a cow? In places like China, eating dogs is the norm, which proves the point that just because something is a norm in society, it does not make it ethically or morally the right thing to do. You can't love animals and eat them. Dog lovers don't eat dogs, and animal lovers don't eat animals. If we think back to other norms or cultural traditions we had in society, slavery, racism, sexism, this was perfectly legal a while ago, but times change and societies evolve as we question what is the right thing to do, what is ethical and the kinder option. Just like how we know that forcing of the Jews into gas chambers in the Holocaust was wrong, one day we will look back and say that forcing pigs into gas chambers for a bacon sandwich was also wrong. Being vegan is fighting for animal justice, justice against an oppression in society. And when there is oppression, we must always consider what is happening from the victim's perspective, which in this case is the perspective of an animal. Put yourself in their shoes. How would you like it? How would you feel? Let's get one thing straight. You don't need to eat animals. We can survive and thrive on a plant-based diet throughout all forms of life, from infancy to adulthood to old age. You don't need to wear animal skin and fur, and you don't need animals for your own entertainment. These things are not a necessity, and as they are not a necessity, this means that it is a choice to eat and enslave animals. Animals can experience the same emotions that we humans also experience, such as joy, love, and family connection, but also the emotions of fear, pain, and suffering. Animals are not something. Each and every one of them is a someone. With regards to farming, you may have heard farmers say, "But we look after the animals, we care about them, and we love them." How is this possible? What is your intention of having animals on a farm in the first place? To exploit them and to use them for various products, such as meat and dairy. Farming animals has the sole purpose of exploiting. If you like the farming so much, you can look into farming vegetables and other plant crops without causing abuse and murder. If you're a farmer or close with one, you'll know that the animals on your farm have their own characteristics and personalities. So you know that those individuals can therefore also suffer pain, misery, and sadness. You can't love animals and also exploit them, kill them and eat them, in the same way that I love my friends and my family, but I'm not going to exploit them, kill them, and eat them. So what excuse do you still have to choose to eat animals? Because of taste? Taste, or something being nice, does not justify actions that cause violence or harm to another. If I thought humans taste nice, does that make it okay to kill and eat another human? How can you justify taking someone's entire life away from them for the personal gain of a 10-minute meal? Because it is your personal choice? Does that make it okay for someone to go around and rape people or beat people up because of personal pleasure? Of course not. Just because something might be a personal choice that benefits them for sensory pleasure, it does not make it moral to do these actions. If your personal choice involves a victim, whatever happened to the victim's choice? We are not animals living in the wild. I often hear people say, "What about lions in the wild?" I think, why are you likening us to a lion? A lion is an obligate carnivore. If you were to compare us to a wild animal, surely you should compare us to one with similar characteristics and DNA, like a gorilla, for example. And animals such as elephants and rhinos, the biggest, oldest and strongest animals thrive on eating only plants. And our teeth are of the same structure as herbivores. Our mouths chew from side to side, unlike carnivores, whose jaws only move up and down. And our digestive system and intestines are not designed like a carnivorous animal. If you wouldn't cause the harm yourself, why do you pay someone else to do it for you? And then there's people that try and reduce plastic waste and stop using plastic straws in order to save the fish. Yet they then go on and pay for a fish and chips, paying for the fish to be killed directly. Now, seeing others around me, my friends and family, eating animals' dead bodies on a dinner table makes me feel so uncomfortable knowing how much pain and suffering they have had to go through. If you don't agree with causing animals harm, then you simply need to align your actions to your values. Here are some important facts that you need to know. In the egg industry, male chicks, little babies in their first day or two in the world, are sent straight down a conveyor belt and into a macerator, like a huge blender, sent to be killed, as male chicks have no use in this industry, as they cannot produce eggs. Free range, local, high welfare, red tractor approved, RSPCA assured, are all just marketing ploys used in the industry to attract consumers. They mean nothing to the animals. For example, free range, organic chickens legally only have to have a space of an A4 piece of paper or the size of an iPad per chicken in a factory. A factory that can house over 16,000 chickens in a building, and it still have these pointless labels on them to make customers feel less guilty about their choices. So many animals barely spend any time outdoors, with lots never seeing any daylight ever in their lives. And chickens that are bred for meat are often 4 to 7 weeks old when they are sent to slaughter. Dairy. Have you ever thought about the fact that we are the only species that drinks milk after infancy, yet alone the only species that drinks another species' milk? Cows don't produce milk because they are cows. They produce milk because they are mothers. Milk from a mother that is intended for her children. These poor innocent cows who are forcibly impregnated, or for more commonly used term, who are raped. Farmers shove their fists up the cow's anus and use a metal rod to insert bull semen into the female cow. Oh, and yes, the semen was taken from the male cows, and you can probably work out how that happens. After being impregnated, the cow then gives birth. The babies are then taken away from the mother. If it is a male calf, they are no use to the dairy industry, and they are usually killed and sold for veal meat. If the baby is a female, her destiny awaits as another milk producer. They are separated into tiny huts, where they are isolated until they are old enough to begin giving birth. The process then repeats until the mother is spent, often at the age of 3 to 4 years old, even though their natural lifespan is up to 20 years old. And for those that love cheese, the process of making your cheese is as follows. Rape the cow, steal the baby, steal the mother's milk, and then kill the baby male cow. And then they extract an enzyme from the baby cow's stomach called rennet, which acts as a coagulating agent that is then combined with the milk in order to make the cheese. Pigs. Pigs are about 6 months old when they are sent into CO2 gas chambers. They suffocate and burn from their insides from the gas. This method is deemed as the most humane method. This is the same method that was used in the Holocaust. They are shipped off in trucks, squeezed together in crates, and lowered into gas. I've attended so many animal vigils in Dorset to bear witness to the animals going into the slaughterhouses. I've seen the fear in the animals' eyes and heard their screams in the trucks and inside the slaughterhouses. And what about fishes? Fish have been scientifically proven to feel pain and suffering. They have families and feelings. And not only does a fish have to die for you to eat it, but have you also ever considered the bycatch? Millions of whales, sharks, turtles and dolphins are killed every year as bycatch, the sea animals that people claim to love and try to protect. Now, from a health perspective, aside from the fundamental ethics, eating animals is also the biggest cause of heart disease, the #1 killer in the United States. Cancers such as prostate, breast and colon, global pandemics, diabetes, high blood pressure, inflammation, the list goes on. Red meat and other processed meats such as hot dogs, bacon, ham, are officially classified as a Class 1 carcinogen by the World Health Organization due to increasing your chances of getting cancer. This is the same category as cigarettes. All protein derives from plants. Plants contain all the essential amino acids required by humans. Animals are just the middlemen who get their protein from plants. You can get all of your nutrients from eating a plant-based diet. Animals are fed antibiotics. About 80% of all antibiotics created are fed to animals. Even plastic is legal in animal feed. And milk. Well, milk, the main nutrients in dairy milk are sugar and fats, not calcium, which we are led to believe. Oh, and in milk, it's legal to have amounts of pus and blood in each serving. 70% of the world's population are lactose intolerant. Why? Because they are not baby cows. We shouldn't be drinking baby calf growth fluid, fluids that are meant to grow small calves into big cows. And eggs? Eggs are full of cholesterol and saturated fats, increasing your risk of heart disease. Now from an environmental perspective, when you look at the destruction of our planet and the climate crisis, animal agriculture is responsible for more emissions than the entire transport industry globally. Animal agriculture is a leading cause of deforestation, water shortages, greenhouse gas emissions, pollution, and ocean destruction. You can reduce your own personal carbon footprint by up to 73% by switching to a plant-based diet. About 80% of farmland is used for animal farming, yet it provides us with less than 30% of our calories. You might hear about soy and the destruction of the Amazon rainforest, but actually it's 80% of that soy is fed to the animals. Cow's milk has 3 times higher emissions, 9 times more land use, and uses 4 times as much water in comparison to plant-based milks. There are so many plant-based milks available, such as oat, soy, coconut, hazelnut, pea, cashew, almond, and rice milk. Here's a crazy statistic. If humans killed each other at the same rate that we kill animals, we'd be extinct in just 17 days. In addition to everything I've mentioned so far about the production and the consumption of animal products, animals are also abused and slaughtered in the most horrendous ways for clothing such as leather, fur, and wool. The industries are responsible for so much torture and suffering to animals. Animal testing. Think of all the physical and psychological pain and suffering animals have to endure in the various processes of testing for many different products, often in cosmetics and personal care products, and are tested for toxicity, medical research, and industrial purposes. Please make the ethical choice and choose the products labelled with cruelty-free on them. Entertainment. Animals are raised solely to satisfy sports and events. People might think circuses are bad, but what about greyhound racing and horse racing? Every year so many horses die in the horse racing industry, either during the events or after they incur injuries. They are brought up and trained intensively to be whipped and forced to jump over fences, to end up with broken bones and death. How can you possibly claim to love these animals if you're knowingly and willingly putting them at risk of harm and death just for a race, to make some money and for your own entertainment? So, to recap, we need to reevaluate our relationship with animals. Animals are on this planet with us, together. We should be able to live in peace and harmony. If you no longer want to pay for the exploitation and murder of innocent animals, you don't have to anymore. You can align your actions with your morals. You can be a true animal lover by choosing to no longer eat them or support the industries that support their exploitation. You can be vegan. Animals are on this planet with us, not for us. As Joaquin Phoenix said, it takes nothing away from a human to be kind to an animal. In the video description, I've listed some of the most life-changing documentaries that you will ever see, so you can learn more about what happens to animals, to see the truth for yourself. I'll also post some resources about how to go vegan, along with some delicious recipes. Thank you for watching, and I hope that this inspires you to go vegan.